Episode 6 of WandaVision is out now. This episode is called an all-new Halloween Spooktacluar episode, and by kind of obviously by the name of the episode, it is a Halloween episode. I kind of waited for my Halloween Wanda and Vision Funko Pops to come in the post, but as well, before I actually start talking about this episode, if you have not seen the episode, this review is going to contain full spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode and you don't want to get anything spoiled for you yet, do not watch this review, but you can always come back after. So the first thing I actually noticed with this episode was before the episode even had started, it was the previously on WandaVision, which I don't really like that they do that. I kind of wish they would just get into the episode. But anyways, they show Aaron Taylor Johnson, the way he died, so we actually get to see how Quicksilver actually died, so we know. I wonder if they're showing us this to remind people who aren't really like a big Marvel fans that, okay, this Quicksilver was not the Quicksilver in the MCU, or if they were doing it to show that, again, this is not the Quicksilver we have now is not the one that was originally there, and just to refresh people's minds what he looks like, so when he shows up again, that's going to happen. It's definitely something. There's a reason why they showed us Aaron Taylor Johnson, but I have no idea how it's going to play out. But the opening credit scenes was actually based on Malcolm in the Middle. I've never seen Malcolm in the Middle. It was before my time when it was kind of airing. I think I was like 5 or 6, so it's not really something I would have watched. But I do know the title sequence, and I kind of got the whole vibe off it because I've seen a few clips of it. So when I seen the title sequence, I thought that was pretty cool. You actually see Tommy and Billy talking to the camera the same way that Malcolm would have done in the show. I just thought that as a whole was just a lot of fun, and I imagine if you were a fan of Malcolm in the Middle or are a fan of Malcolm in the Middle, that would be a lot of fun for you. That's what people have been saying as these episodes are progressing through the 50s, 60s, 70s. All these people who would have watched sitcoms from back then, they think it's hilarious. That's why I'm kind of hoping with this week's episode being in the 2010 sitcom era, that's what mostly I've watched. So I'm looking forward to seeing if it's going to be based off anything. I think I've seen a bit of Modern Family, which I'm actually watching through at the moment because it's an easy watch. But anyways, we do get to see them in their costumes, and I thought their costumes were fantastic. Elizabeth Olsen's costume as Scarlet Witch actually looked brilliant. When I first seen the promo photo, I thought it doesn't look the best, but actually seeing it in the episode, it really, really works. And I actually wouldn't mind if moving forward, if not this costume exactly, but if they just kind of made it a bit stronger looking than something that someone just made in their, well, she made it from something, of course, but whatever she made it from, I would like to see like a proper costume done properly, because I actually really like the costume design. Vision as well looked so stupid. It was so stupid how Vision looked, but it was actually hilarious. He had like football shorts on him. Visions looked really funny. Pietro also looked pretty cool, but not he looked kind of more like Vision than Wanda. His costume, he got the hair the same way as the comics. All that was pretty cool. Tommy and Billy were dressed up too. I don't think they were dressed like their comic counterparts, but as well, it was just pretty cool to see them in their costumes. The whole kind of Halloween setting as a whole, I thought was pretty fun to see throughout the episode. But after we kind of see them in their costumes, we do get to zoom out of the Hex. We see everyone arguing, and the director if you look at it from his point of view, he is 100% right. I agree with him from a perspective, but he's just not really going about it the right way. He is being pretty much a dick. Like, he even says to Monica, I'm glad you weren't around when your mom died, because she would have put Monica in the position that he's in, and he doesn't think that she's in the right position. It's just the way he phrased it, saying I'm kind of glad you weren't around when your mom died. It's just the way he said it kind of made him seem like a bit of a dick. But throughout the episode, you see them kind of progressing. Vision says, I'm going to go off into the neighborhood watch, but he actually doesn't. He kind of goes out on his own. And as he goes out on his own to the town, we see him go out to, I can't remember the name of this tree, Elmwood I think it was called, but it was really away from everything else. And all the people out there were like zombies. They were like frozen zombies. You see a woman who was trying to hang up the washing, and her hand just kept going up and down, because Wanda or whoever's taking control of this wasn't really putting their energy out there. So these people were just pretty much dead lying out there. So that kind of led to a really kind of like a horror scene. This TV show as a whole is very much a kind of like a horror show, because there's so many horrific elements in this show. But you see a woman again who was hanging up the clothes. You see a tear come down her eye. Vision's walking around asking people like, can I help you? Is there anything wrong here? And they're not even acknowledging him. And then we see Vision fly up, and we see him for the first time, as far as I know, in his full-on Vision look. Not just his face, but the full-on cape, the full body. He flies up and he sees Agnes goes up to talk to Agnes. Now, I had seen this, I think we've seen this entire scene in trailers, but it was just very intense to see it, because she wakes up, she's panicking, and she goes, "Oh my god, you're an Avenger, you're here to save me." And then he says, "What's an Avenger?" Really letting us know that he does not know anything about his previous life. And then she asks if she's dead. Again, we've seen this in the trailer. And he goes, "No, why would you think you're dead?" And he goes, "Because you are." Really letting us know Vision is, he's understanding. He's coming to understand everything. I wonder, in episode 7, is he going to fully realize, especially what happens to him at the end of the episode? Is Wanda going to kind of wipe his memory of that? Or what's going to happen? But anyways, through the episode, we got Wanda, we got Pietro and Tommy and Billy just making their way throughout the town. And Pietro really lets us on that he really is not Pietro. At first I was thinking, is this kind of a scenario the same way it was with Wonder Woman 1984, where it was Steve Trevor just in someone else's body, but it actually was Steve Trevor? But after this episode, I really don't think that's Pietro just in someone else's body. I think that is, I don't know what it is, I don't know who it is, but that's not Pietro. Like, he was complimenting her, saying, "This is such a big step up from you just moving stuff around with your fingers. You're now literally taking over a town," asking how he does it. Just pretty much, he is a dick. This guy is a complete dick, and he just very much was unlikable in this episode. He had some fun moments, but just what he was saying and how he was acting just made him really unlikable. Even at one stage, he says to Wanda, "Your dead husband cannot die again," which really lets us know that Vision is, he's dead. Vision's dead. Wanda's doing whatever, but Vision is still dead. This guy who's alive right now is not Vision. And that actually, when he says that, Wanda like uses her powers and fucks him across the hall, and it was quite intimidating to see Wanda literally do that to someone who is meant to be her brother, who in the eyes of her kids is her brother, and seeing her fuck him across the room was quite intimidating for the kids to see that. But we also see the kids get their powers, which I wasn't expecting to see them get their powers so quick. I was really excited when they got their powers. But of course, you see Billy, I think it was. Billy has the speed, and then Tommy has the same powers as Wanda. But anyways, Vision is making his way out. He starts to walk out of the town. Actually, before I get into that, Monica, what's his name? Asian Jim, I'm blanking on his name, and Darcy. Monica has a contact coming in. I have no idea who it is. People have been speculating all week. Is it Mr. Fantastic? People are saying that so many people, it'd be pretty cool if it was Mr. Fantastic. Again, Mr. Fantastic played by John Krasinski would be pretty cool, but I don't really see that happening. I'd love that happen, but I really cannot see that happening. But anyways, after all that, Vision does make his way out. He's starting to go out of the hex, and as you see him walking out, you can see him also being pulled back into the hex. He's making his way out, and you see literally bits of him just being ripped and pulled off, getting pulled back into the hex. He's on his knees, arm reaching out, screaming for people, saying there's people here who need help. So this guy is literally on the ground dying, and instead of asking for help, he is screaming for them to help the people inside, which again led to a really horrific and very much like a horror scene within the movie, and just so much emotion seeing Vision in this horrific state. Look, we've seen Vision die twice, but this right now looked horrible to see Vision being put into this scenario. But everyone's screaming. Darcy in particular is screaming, saying, "Why aren't you helping him?" Then Darcy was making her way over to help him. They handcuff Darcy to a truck. Billy then senses that there's something wrong with his dad, and he immediately says to Wanda, panicking, "There's something wrong with Dad, there's something wrong with Dad." And then Wanda, realizing there is of course something wrong with Vision, she does the only thing she can think of doing in that moment, because she doesn't know where Vision is. She doesn't know how to get to Vision, because of course she doesn't know where Vision is. She realizes Vision must have tried to leave the hex, because there was so many kind of hints to him really not trusting her in this episode 1, the big fight at the end of episode 5. You also see that she was talking to Earl, I think his name was, who says Vision isn't even part of this. So she's like, why is Vision lying to me? So she does what she only thinks she can think of doing, which is expanding the hex, which was pretty surprising and also quite terrifying, because you see the hex being turned. The hex is spreading out. You see all these sword agents, everyone's trying to run away because no one wants to get dragged into it, but all the sword agents immediately start turned into clowns, and just to get turned into a circus. As far as I know, we don't see the hex stopping. So I imagine in the next episode, the hex is just going to keep going and going. But we do see Darcy getting pulled into it. And my first thing is when I saw it happening was saying, God, I hope she's going to be a waitress. Just because of Two Broke Girls. I've only seen a couple of episodes. But I just think her being a waitress would just be so funny. After her being a waitress for 6 years in TV, seeing her be a waitress inside WandaVision, I just think would be absolutely hilarious. But we do find out earlier in the episode, because of Monica going in and out of the Hex, her cells are being rewritten. So I don't know if that's just personally because of her, because she was also around Carol Danvers a lot, or whatever's going to happen. Also, is it because she went into the Hex and she was also snapped? I don't know. Is it just because of her personally? Is it kind of like the mutant gene being kind of ignited inside of her? I have no idea. I'm very curious to see why her cells in particular are being rewritten, but we never know. I don't know. I wonder, is Darcy going to become like a main character in the WandaVision show now, or is she going to be kind of a background character? Really don't know. We know Jimmy Woo and Monica have not been sucked in. They're going to meet up with whoever Monica was saying about meeting up within the episode. But honestly, the episode, when we see the Hex expanding, I was so excited to see what's going to happen next. And then Please Stand By came up. This was the very first time out of all 6 episodes, the first time, like all the other 5 times it came up, I was like, oh damn it, it's over. But this one, when it came up, I was like, fuck no, come on. All I wanted to do was see what's going to happen next. Luckily though, I get to sit down and watch WandaVision episode 7 tomorrow, and as far as I know, episode 7, 8 and 9 are all at least an hour each. I don't know if that's an hour including the credits, or if it's an hour and 10 minutes with the 10 minutes of credits. But I'm really excited to see how the show's going to wrap up. Who's this mystery guest that Elizabeth Olsen said? Because we know Elizabeth Olsen said there is someone in this who is a Luke Skywalker level cameo, and Paul Bettany has said there's someone in this who he's always wanted to work with. That's why I don't think it's going to be let's just say a Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is going to show up, but I don't think he's a Luke Skywalker cameo, because of course Paul Bettany has worked with Doctor Strange, well, Benedict Cumberbatch. I really would love to see John Krasinski show up as Mr. Fantastic, but I don't know how likely that is. But honestly, I would love to see him as Mr. Fantastic. I'd love to see him, Elizabeth or Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman. I can't remember the guy's name, but he played Hank in Breaking Bad. I think he'd be a great Thing. But honestly, I have no idea who you can cast as Johnny Storm. But I just want to see the Fantastic Four come in soon. So I'd love to see if they got introduced, or even just, all we need is Mr. Fantastic. If we just get Reed Richards in this, he doesn't even have to be Mr. Fantastic yet. Just seeing Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, show up at the end of episode 7, 8 or 9 will be the Luke Skywalker cameo, in my opinion, and I'd love to see it. So hopefully we are not let down with this Luke Skywalker cameo. Hopefully Elizabeth Olsen didn't just overly exaggerate and it's just someone like Nick Fury who would not be a Luke Skywalker cameo. But we will find out in the next 2.5 weeks, if you want to say 2.5 weeks. Really excited to see it. Let me know your thoughts on episode 6 in the comment section down below. Click that subscribe button so you can see my review of episode 7, 8 and 9 of WandaVision, and then moving forward with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and when The Walking Dead comes back. If you want to see all that, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.